Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, and welcome back to another episode of Topper Talk podcast. As always, I'm here with my man Tyler. We're going to continue our position series breakdown. We are talking defensive line and linebackers today. Tyler, man, you ready to dive into these position groups?
Oh, I am. I'm ready to talk about the big guys and the hard hitters on defense today, man. Let's get at it.
And, as we dive into these position groups, we're, like we've stated in the past, we are leaning heavily on the Field Steel magazine and kind of what we've seen in the spring game and kind of what that depth chart looks like and who the starters may or may not be, some of that speculation, as there's obviously a lot of fall ball left to determine some of those starters and depth chart just battles going on still before game one gets here on September 2nd. So we decided to enlist the help of someone that probably knows a little bit more than we do. We're really excited to have him. This is our first guest on the show. We're really excited to have him. We got a transfer defensive lineman. We have Nonte Davis joining us, man. Nonte, glad to have you, man. Appreciate you joining us, taking your time out of your day and, join us to, give your insight on this football team and to position group, man. Glad you're here. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, before we completely dive into the position group that is, and, your teammates, I do kind of want to circle back around and kind of, I guess, shine some light on who you are as a player, kind of where you came from, and just let people know, in the WKU fan base who you are, because you are a new transfer player. So I'm just reading from your bio as I found, just doing some research for the show. From Columbia, Tennessee, you were a 3-star defensive end out of high school, and you were the number 35 prospect in Tennessee. But it says you missed most of your senior year with an injury. Do you want to maybe talk about that, your senior year and just maybe what happened and, how that might have affected your recruiting, into making that college decision where you ended up going?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So my junior year, I had a shoulder surgery, and it carried over to my senior season, which made me miss my whole senior season. It was mentally, it was frustrating for me because I had plans on coming back mid-season. That was my projection from my doctor, and things weren't going the way that they wanted it to go. So, those change of plans changed and made me miss my whole senior season.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to hear that. I mean, any athlete missing any chunk of time, especially that senior year of high school, that you hate to hear that. So, obviously, I'm sure that affected your recruiting. Obviously, you ended up at UT Martin with the Skyhawks there. I guess tell us a little bit about, what was your recruiting process like? I'm sure it was a little bit different being injured and not having senior game tape, kind of leaning on your junior tape and what your abilities, may have been growing into as a senior. Maybe talk about, some of the schools that were interested in you, who you were deciding from and ultimately what made you end up going to UT Martin.
My recruiting process started my sophomore year. My first offers from Sanford, and then after that, my junior year, everything else started coming in as far as G5 and Power 5 schools. Man, it was really overwhelming having almost every school come see you in person, talk to you and tell you what they like about your game, and it was just a blessing for real because the city I come from is very small. It's not a lot of recruiting there, and it was just it was different for me and everybody in my family also because I was the first person to go to college. But so after my junior year, I had surgery on my shoulder, which kind of slowed down my recruiting. Not much, but they were kind of more iffy on me. So I told you, like I said before, I missed out on my whole senior season. Um, a lot of schools backed away. A lot of schools stayed. A lot of schools was, trying to give me other offers. I had JUCO schools coming to talk to me, prep schools. But me, I knew nothing about prep school. I knew nothing about JUCO. So it was Coach Hank at UT Martin. I didn't even he came and visited me. I knew nothing about Martin. I didn't even know it was a school. I didn't even know they had offered me. Uh, he asked me. He said, "Why you didn't post my the offer that we gave you?" And like I told him, I was like, "I didn't even know y'all guys offered me." So after that, man, he was just on me because he knew I was hurt. I told him that my situation, and he told me that probably a lot of schools will probably back out, but we're gonna stick with you because we want you. I see the potential in you. I know what you can be. You know, the t- the the typical talk for a recruiter. So it was one day I was going to the office because I was getting everybody. It was different schools coming every day to come see me. Um, but my top list was probably Georgia Tech, Tulane, MTSU, and and who else was it? It was between those three for sure. Those were my top three. Uh, so it was a recruiter from Murfreesboro that came with MTSU. They came and visited my school. I really liked everything about MTSU. Really, I honestly thought that that's where I was going to be headed to. So the day that I wanted to commit, they actually pulled my offer away. It's crazy. Yeah, they put it away. So after that, man, it was everything kind of started going downhill for me. I really wasn't in contact with any other coaches like that because I didn't play my senior season, which I was expected to play. And Coach Hank came. He he sat down with me. We went over my grades. We went over my recruiting, and man, he just had a whole list of everything that I needed to do to graduate, to get accepted into Martin, and I loved that about that. As a person, I loved that he was taking his time out of his day to show me what I need to do to get to the next level. So I took that in consideration. I ended up going to Martin, and yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a whirlwind recruiting. I think I can speak for myself and for Tyler and probably the rest of the Hilltopper Nation that will be listening. We're glad you didn't go to MTSU. We don't like them. We don't like anything about them. When they come to the house this year, we are going to beat the brakes off them, just like we have for the last 5 years. Um, yeah, that's a long time rival. So we're not sad to see that you didn't go there. And obviously, your journey led you elsewhere. There's a reason for everything, and that happened for a reason. I hate that happened, but it happens all too often in college athletics as they overextend scholarship offers and don't have enough open spots to fulfill those if somebody wants to commit. So I hate that happened. But then you went to UT Martin. You played a lot of football there. um, just looking over your bio there on their website, I mean, you played in over 4 years. You played in 39 games. You had 38 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and the majority of that looks like it came in your last 2 years. And especially last year, it just seemed like you kind of blew up on the scene, and like your productivity just skyrocketed last year. So, and you helped lead UT Martin to 2, back-to-back OVC championships. So I guess, tell us a little bit about your time at UT Martin and just, how you felt your game grew and developed, and what kind of led to that resurgence of production your last year there at UTM.
Oh yeah, this is the topic I really want to talk about. So I first got to Martin. Um, I was like the man on campus. Like they were so excited to have me there. It was like a big welcome home party when I got there, and first day of pads, everybody looking at me like I'm, just this dude from transfer from Alabama. It was a good feeling. But my freshman year, I was not ready at all, mentally or physically. Because the summer I had that was still dealing with my surgery problems. I wasn't at my full ability to play football. I wasn't. I was out of condition. I probably didn't work out none that summer. Um, Man, I just wasn't ready. So I ended up redshirting my first year there. I redshirted. After that, a lot of people don't know I left college. Yes, I left Martin. I left Martin for probably like a week. When I first got there, it wasn't, like I said, I had surgery and I really had like an off season that whole summer. So like mentally, like I wasn't there at all. Like it didn't feel like me coming from doing everything I was doing in high school and then coming to college, and they expected me to come in here and be this big time freshman playing, and I was confused, man. I didn't know what to do, so I ended up leaving. I went home. When I went home, that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. It made me realize how much football meant to me. It made me realize how much football can do for me. And man, it was a blessing that they even allowed me to come back. So I was gone for a week. Um, like I said, it made me realize how much I miss football, how much football meant to me. I ended up coming back to Martin. Um, when I got back to Martin, my whole perspective on everything was it was like different. As far as workouts, never missed a workout. I was on time and everything. Um, and I admit that when I got back, I was probably going through the motion because I knew I wasn't playing. But spring hit, it was a different Nante. Um, our strength and conditioning coaches, they had a good program. I got in good condition. I got my strength back. And man, I was running with the ones, twos, and threes because the starters was hurt. So I was running with the ones, twos, and threes, and it got me. And I ain't gonna lie, that kind of got me the way I am now. It made me look at everything different too. So uh, I grinded that spring out. I had a great spring actually. I kind of they got a glimpse of Nante, not the real Nante, but they got a glimpse of me, so they knew what I was capable of doing. Um, After that, my sophomore or redshirt freshman year, uh, I got a lot of PT that year. Um, I was second string, and the coach we had at that time, he was big on rotating, so we rotated in. I probably got like 30 to 40 plays a game. It was pretty good. Um, I feel like I done decent my first year playing in college. It's putting in things like I always work on to get better. Um, but I feel like I had a good first year. Uh, after that, I had after that we had got another coach, and then that's when everything started switching around. So we had Coach McMillan. My first coach was Coach McMillan. He's actually at the Times right now. I think he's a defensive analyst, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, and then after him, I had I think that's when COVID hit, right?
Yeah, so yeah, that your third year, yeah, you redshirted 18, then 19 was your redshirt freshman year, and then 20 was when COVID hit. And I think y'all only played you. I think you only appeared in 7 games that year, and I don't know if y'all had canceled games or what. And then there was a spring league the spring season that you all played in. So 20 and 21 were kind of meshed together when I was looking at the stats there. But then 22, you jumped off the charts with your production. I'm sure that was snaps and a lot of things that went into that. But you talk about your workouts getting right. I met you today. You're a big dude. I absolutely believe that your workouts got right because I know that you obviously stay in that weight room and they definitely got you right at UT Martin. So I guess, yeah, tell us a little bit more about your senior year and just how you, on paper, it looks like you just exploded in production and just really set yourself apart, probably as a leader on that team and that defensive line.
For sure. Let me finish though with my sophomore to my junior. Okay, so in COVID, I had mind you, I had a different coach every year. So during COVID, I had a coach named Coach Oz. Um, I think he came from Florida, and now he's with the Baltimore Ravens. Um, he ended up leaving right before COVID, so he only coached me probably like a little bit of that spring because that's when COVID hit. And then we had got another coach named George Frazier, which he's at FIU right now. Um, End of the year for sure. Uh, we played, yeah, like you said, we played the COVID season. We played 7 games in the spring. Those 7 games, having that new coach was kind of difficult for me. I feel like he really didn't believe in me like he should have. Um, I had a senior in front of me. His name was Austin Pickett. He was an All-American, All-Conference nose tackle. Um, it was one of those things where it was seniority. I felt like, um, and I kind of let that get to me because at first I played D tackle my freshman and sophomore year, and then during that COVID year, that's when they wanted to move me to nose tackle, which would be in the middle with a three stack defense. I never played nose before, so like it was all new to me. I definitely didn't like it at first, but um, the coach told me that he could see me at the next level playing that position, and when he said that, that kind of made me change my whole perspective of playing nose. So I end up, putting my pride to the side, and I end up learning more techniques about playing at nose, and then I perfected it. Then I started loving it, and now I'm a true nose tackle. I can really play anything, but so after that, that's when we had our real season in the fall also. So we played in the spring and in the fall. We had we actually played WKU in that fall. Uh, and in the fall, I really didn't get that much PT neither. Not as much as I wanted to, but I still feel like I was being slept on. So after that, all the seniors left. So I was kind of the big dog on campus then. My junior year, I started getting way more PT. Um, Not as much as I really wanted to still, but it was more than what I've been getting. And then my senior year, we had got another coach, another new coach. His name was Coach Robinson. Coach Robinson, man, he was a coach that believed in me. He knew what I could do, and he raised my game to where he needed to be. That's how I got noticed. So, like I said, my senior year, we're going into fall camp. And mind you, every day I'm going against an All-American center every day. So that kind of made me better. Um, and just my mentality going inside my senior season, knowing that, I'm a starter. I got to lead the way. Just the middle of the defense has got to be, on point. And like I said, we had another strength and conditioning staff at that time. They was great too. They built me up to where I need to be also. I took all the coaching that I could, everything, and my senior season, man, it was just a blessing to be there. And we ended up playing my senior season. We played Boise State and Tennessee. I love playing in big games. That's what, because I feel like I'm supposed to be there. So when we played Boise State, I had end up getting I was going off that game, and I ended up trying to recover a fumble, and I ended up spraining my ankle. So I got out that game, and I sat out for probably 4 games. So I missed 4 games. After that, I seen Tennessee on the schedule, and I knew I wanted to play in that game. So that's what I was doing the whole time I was out. I was preparing for them because I knew that was a money game for me. I knew that game could change my life. If I played good against them, I knew, I could get some attention. I know it was I knew I was gonna play good against every other team, but playing good against the SEC team was just good for me. So I ended up coming back during the Tennessee game. I had a very good game against Tennessee to me, and then I ended up finishing out the season and just was just being me.
Man, that is an amazing journey, dude. I mean, it, that like Steven said, everything happens for a reason, and I mean, having to practice behind an All American, All Conference. I mean, I know that had to be a challenge to you. Every day, come in and bust your butt, and that's an awesome story. Uh, I guess my question was, what made you decide to transfer to WKU, if you don't mind me asking?
What made me decide? So after I had a good season, my senior season, I wanted to just playing against those big teams. Like I wanted to up my competition. You know, I knew it would be better for me if I wanted to go to the league. And I think it was just my time to move on from Martin. I respect them. I love them for giving me the opportunity to be there. But God just gave me a sign it was my time to move on. And I ended up entering that portal.
Was there anything about WKU in particular? Because I'm sure with the production you had those last couple of years, I'm sure you were getting interest from several other schools. And this time you were healthy. Compared to your first go around in recruiting, coming out of high school, you were injured and kind of, like the UT Martin coach at the time said, a lot of people are backing off of you in this new day and age of the transfer portal and NIL and collectives. A lot of teams are, looking to the portal to fill holes before they're looking to, JUCO or even the high school recruits, because now you have college tape. Your college body, you've been in weight rooms and the dietary systems, and your body they know what they're going to get when they see you. So, I guess, what was that second round of recruiting like, kind of getting back into it, getting re-recruited, and then, what set apart WKU? What made you decide to come here? Obviously, you're a little bit familiar with this because we had played, but what made you settle on, coming to Bowling Green, Kentucky?
So, the recruiting when I got in the portal was crazy. It felt like I was in high school again. Getting those calls, getting those texts, those them Twitter DMs. It was a crazy experience. And when I entered it was the first day I had got a couple more FCS schools, and then the next day after that, everything else started rolling. Um, I know WKU offered me. That was probably the first ones to offer me. But my choice was between Kansas State and WKU. Um, and I chose WKU, man, because I just when I came here to visit, I fell in love with everything. The community, the atmosphere, the fans, the coaching staff, the my teammates, man. It's everything about WKU that I just love, man. And Kenny Baker, he had sat down with me and we talked and talked and talked, and he had this amazing plan for me. And It was kind of similar to what happened to Broderick. He feel like that could be me in the future. Um, man, it was. I think Broderick came from a similar situation like me. I think he went to North Alabama. He was an FCS kid, and Kenny Baker was just telling me how he that high motor for FCS kids because he came from that type of background too. And man, everything he was saying to me was just like it was like my dad talking to me, and I loved everything about that. So when I got here, I talked to every other coaches, and it was just like I said, it was like a father. They were like father figures to me, and man, it just made me. Really, the brotherhood in the locker room is what really made me come to Martin. I mean, WKU, my bad. But yeah, the brotherhood in the locker room is crazy. It's everybody humble, everybody positive. There's no hatred in there, man, and everybody love to come work. Everybody motivate each other, and I think that's what's gonna make WKU good this year.
Yeah, I'd agree. And you said the community and the fans. Yeah, we do have a great community and great fans and a great podcast that supports our student athletes, man. Because if anytime you're doing something good, great, we're gonna make sure that that light is shined on you a little bit brighter to make sure you get noticed for what you're doing. So, obviously, we're really glad you decided to come to WKU. I've heard nothing but good and great things about you since you've been on campus. And then even talking about that team camaraderie, that brotherhood that you said in the locker room, I kind of saw a glimpse of that today, as some of the guys were together for, where I met you today. Really awesome group of kids. We'll love each and every one of the student athletes that I got to meet today. Great representatives of WKU and of yourselves. And, I can't wait to see, kind of what we see on the field. So I guess we're going to turn and talk a little bit about, I guess, what is going to be on the field and honestly what isn't going to be on the field. We're going to look at the Field Steel magazine, which rates our defensive line, and that's going to be our tackles and our defensive ends. We're just kind of mixing those in together, kind of that first unit on the defensive side. And he ranks at unit number 5 in the conference, which is, middle of the pack, kind of lower middle of the pack, not where we're used to being. But once you start looking at kind of the production that we lost, some of the guys have been here for several years that are no longer on the roster. You're talking about a 5-year starter in Juwan Jones, who exhausted his eligibility and is gone. You mentioned Broderick Martin, drafted in the NFL by the Lions in the 3rd round, pick number 96. That's definitely a good roadmap to follow. And I don't think Kenny Baker was incorrect in telling you that you can follow those same footsteps and any of our guys. I think there's a lot of talent on this roster as we start talking about some of the people we're going to add to the mix of people that have left. So, him getting drafted. Then we had Lorenzo Hernandez, exhausted his eligibility. Darius Shipp, again, eligibility. And then Mike Allen, his eligibility also has been exhausted. So 5 of our top 8 are gone. So, I guess kind of looking at that, just all that production and just guys that have been here for several years, it makes a little bit of sense why he on paper says, maybe they're not the most, the best unit or the strongest unit. But then we turn around and we start looking at some of these additions. We didn't lose anybody to the portal, but we added a bunch of guys from the portal. Obviously, you being one of those, kind of the I don't want to say the crown jewel, but you're a big guy, and we're glad you're here. Obviously, that's why we're talking to you. But I think once you start running down this list of people we added, Nonte Davis, obviously from UTM, Marcus Black, a sophomore defensive tackle from Nebraska, Ryan Williams, a sophomore defensive tackle from Colorado, Dallas Walker, a sophomore defensive tackle from Texas A&M, Sebastian Benjamin, a sophomore defensive end from St. Francis, and Jaden Loving, a sophomore defensive tackle from Bethune-Cookman. And then we also added 2 high school signees as well, in Jalen Hand and Keyshawn Harvey. So, we did lose a lot of talent. A lot of senior leadership, obviously, guys that exhausted their eligibility. But then you turn around and you look at, some of these guys that we added, not only their size, but where they played at before. So I guess Nante, you have seen, way more of these guys than we have at this point. What's your, coming from UT Martin and now you're here at Western, and you see, obviously, the guys we've lost. I'm sure you know who they are, and you've heard about them, and obviously Broderick getting drafted to the league, and then there's a lot of playing time available. So I guess tell us about some of these guys that we listed off there, and even anybody else on the roster. Kind of what do you see, and who do you like? What are you expecting from some of your guys, your teammates, and even yourself? Shed some light on yourself. What your expectations are of yourself, man.
Okay, so my expectations for myself, man, I'm the oldest in the locker room, and everybody they call me Pops and everything in there. It's crazy. We got a real funny room, man. It's wild. But man, my expectations is to do what I know I can do and show the world what I can do. Um, I want to lead the way for the D line room, um, and I want to show them that uh, what a real. I want to be a brother to them also, though. I don't want to just be that football player that's just you know don't say nothing to them, mean to them. I want to be their brother too. As far as new people added to the roster, man, well, let me say this. So a lot of people say we lost a lot of talent, but we also got a lot of talent too. Uh, there's a lot of talent that was still there that didn't get as much, PT as they wanted to last year, and they hungry, they ready. I can say that about our whole D line. We're all hungry. Like seeing all these rankings and everything about us so low and some on some not on the list, it kind of got us in that hunger mode that we it's ready for us to show the world what we can do. Um, we got a great coach that's coaching us. They come from a championship tradition. Uh, man, he coaches us hard every day. We come ready to work every day, and it's only gonna get better. Uh, and it's actually WKU is in good hands, man. These Most of the people on the roster are young, like you called out. They were all sophomores and everything. So y'all got a few more years with these cats, and the ceiling is only going to get higher for them. A lot of people. I know one you didn't mention was Dallas Walker from Texas A&M. Um, he sat out for he told me 2 years, and man, he coming along real good. Uh, I think he's going to be a good help for us this year. Jaden Lovin, you talked about him. Man, he's gonna be a good fit to me too. He reminds me of the defensive tackles we had last year, if not better, in my opinion. I think the nose position is going to be in great hands. uh, I honestly think our defense this year was better than last year's, in my opinion, and we're gonna back that up. I promise you. Our D tackles, our DNs, man, they're stacked. It's so much competition in the DNs. It's hard for me to choose on who I think would be that person because it's so much competition. Like even the young ones is working, man. Like everybody is working. The tackle position is we're stacked in every position. Like I feel like no spot is can say it's officially taken because there's so much competition. Um, I feel like we got good depth. I feel like he can rotate probably probably 6 to 8 guys a game if you wanted to keep everybody fresh. I feel like that's a good thing to have on the team. I know when I was at Martin, we really didn't have too many people that we could rotate, and so we weren't as fresh as we could be. And I know that from experience in the FCS playoffs, man. Fresh legs is important to win a game. Um, but as far as our D line, man, I think we're gonna wake up a lot of people that's underestimating us. Um, man, we're ready to do that, man. We working hard, like I said, and everybody is hungry. Everybody is hungry. We all talk. We all laugh. We all work. It's a great thing. I'm glad to be here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, like you said, of those transfers, and I did miss Dallas Walker. I do apologize to Dallas if he's listening. But again, we brought in a great group of guys with a lot of talent, and like we've said, they're all young. I mean, they're all pretty much redshirt sophomores. I am going to run down who the projected starters are. And this is just projected. This is Phil Steele. This was done in the spring, so we know there's still competition at these positions. There's depth chart and just injuries could happen. A lot of stuff could happen between now and September 2nd. So I'm going by Phil Steele. So anybody listening or yourself here, Nante, don't hold me accountable. This is Phil Steele's projected starters. I'm just reading it. So at one defensive end, we got Nico Cooper, 6'5", 250-pound senior. Was a Nebraska transfer a couple years ago. Then we've got yourself, Nonte Davis, at a defensive tackle position. We got Jaden Loving at a defensive tackle position. Then we've got Donut Evans at the other defensive end position, and we know he can kind of line up there or linebacker. He in the last couple of years he's been very versatile in where he can line up. And then looking at some other guys on the roster again, like you said, it is a youth movement in this. And I think this is probably more the reasoning of why it was picked as the number 5 unit. And I have been very vocal on our podcast account on Twitter. There was a top 50 defensive line ranking, and we weren't on it, and, whether you think it's just or unjust, my reply to it was, I think we're going to shock a lot of people. I think our unit's going to end up being one of the best, one of the deepest, one of the most talented, not only in our conference. It's not going to be number 5 in the conference. I can guarantee you that. I guarantee you we are going to be wreaking havoc on some quarterbacks and in the backfield. Guarantee that. From all the guys we've listed, and then even some of these other guys we're going to list that, like you said, we're going to have around for several more years, and they're going to be getting valuable experiences. They've already, a lot of these are redshirt freshmen that have already been out, just lifting and training and getting ready. And like you said, they're hungry. So I'm going to read off some of these guys. We got Dante McCray, 6'4", 265-pound redshirt freshman. Marcus Patterson, 6'4", 255-pound redshirt freshman. Keaton Law, 6'3", 255-pound redshirt freshman. Kylan Goodry, 6'4", 230-pound junior. Reed Jamerson, 5'11", 212-pound redshirt freshman. And then defensive tackles, we got Terrion Tank Thompson, 6 foot, 295-pound junior, local Bowling Green kid. Darian Goodrum, 6'1", 290-pound senior. Hosea Wheeler, 6'3", 285-pound junior. And then Tyrese Black, 6'4", 314-pound redshirt senior. So, kind of just like that batch of transfers being really, really young, save for yourself, like you said, your pops, you're the senior, you're the leader. You're probably mentoring some of these guys. So there's definitely a youth movement behind you. And I know that this season is going to be a lot more successful because of not only Coach Hall and his coaching, his leadership, especially, that Georgia background. We all know what they've been the last couple of years. They have been downright dominant and just fun to watch. Defensively, they've been fun to watch. If you like high scoring WKU games, don't go watch Georgia because they're just smash mouth, physical, tough ball club. And we got a couple of Georgia coaches, so I like bringing that attitude and that expectation, right here on the Hill. And then we've got this youth movement of guys who, like you said, hungry, ready to go. So, what about these young guys? Is there anybody that stands out, or how are you feeling? And I guess embracing being that senior, that leader, that mentor of what is eventually going to be the next batch of our great defensive linemen that we have here on the Hill.
Oh yeah. So man, the young cats, as far as freshmen, man, Deontay McCray, man, he's gonna be, man, that's y'all got a good steal from with WKU with him. Man, I don't even think he know how good he is yet. Uh, but when he get to realizing what type of things he can do, he's gonna be a problem. Uh, I think him this year, I honestly think he could be like a second string come in because he's young. I feel like guys with experience should play a little bit more just because they know what a game like situation is. Um, I know he didn't get as much PT as he wanted to last year neither, but he got a quite few little plays. But I think this year he's going to be ready to roll in, uh, maybe before someone or after someone. But I know that he's going to be ready. Marcus is the same way. Man, him and Marcus is like competing on which freshman I think the best. They both, man, they got the same type of build. They're both athletic. They're both quick. They both like to take coaching. Um, they both listen. Is I think they got a good future ahead of them. As far as older freshmen, as far as sophomores, you said Terrion was a sophomore, right?
I think Tank's a junior.
Junior. Well, yeah. I think he told me he got like 2 years left eligibility wise, so that's a good. Tank is, man, is my guy, man. I most definitely want him on the field with me. Uh, Man, he's going to be a problem this year too. He's one of those guys he told me he played behind Broderick last year. He got a little bit of PT. It's not as much as he wanted to. Also, I think he, I think he's going to be like me. He's been waiting on his moment, and I think they finally going to give him his chance, and he's going to show them what he could have been doing. And Hosea, I love Hosea. Jose and Jaden is kind of the same to me. I think they both is competing real hard for that tackle position. Um, Man, they both big, they both powerful, they both technique sound. Um, I know Jaden played a little bit more last year at um, wherever school he came from. I know Hosea. We talked to him. I talked to him. He told me he didn't really get as much, PT as he wanted to last year, and that's what made him change his whole mindset about everything too, as far as working harder. And man, him and Jaden, like I said, is they competing at that tackle position for sure. Um, the Black brothers, man, they both that's a great addition to us. They both strong. They both big. Also, they both got some experience at that next level, a Power Five. They know how it is. Um, who am I missing? Uh, let's see. As far as high school freshmen coming in, I think, I think I think they'll be good too. It's a typical freshman, doing freshman things. Little minor mistakes that I think that they'll fix later on down the road. And but I think they're gonna be real good once they get the coaching and get in the weight room the way everybody else is, because everybody come from different backgrounds, different schools, and some schools don't do what other schools do, so they might be behind in one thing, and but I know Coach V will get them right, just like he got me right. And I only been here since January, so I can only imagine what they're gonna do in the next 4 years. So yeah, that's pretty much our D line right there.
Yeah, man, we appreciate that insight because those are literally your brothers, your teammates, the guys that you're beside every day, practice, meetings, film, weight room, probably hanging out after off the field. Those are guys that you're going to know a lot better and kind of know that hunger and that desire to succeed on the field. So before we let you get out of here, because man, obviously it's been awesome having you on here, hearing you tell about your story, just how you came up, adversity, a lot of coaching turnover there at UT Martin, and then obviously deciding to come to Western to make a great decision that's going to, in my opinion, help propel you to the next level in that NFL ready resume that you're going to continue to build on here. So before we let you go, though, one thing we do with every position group is we have a little pack of questions that we like to ask of the guys. I asked Tyler these questions. I'm going to let Tyler ask you the questions now. And somebody is a little bit on the spot, but I think you'll be able to answer them, pretty honestly, especially knowing your guys as well as you do. And you are more than welcome. If your name is the answer to any of these questions, you're more than welcome to shine some light on yourself, buddy. So, Tyler, go ahead, man. What you got for him?
All right, man. First question is, which player are you most excited to see play this season?
Man, that's kind of hard decision, but I know one I'm excited to see is Terrion.
Yeah, I've heard some things about him. Some good things. Some good things we've seen him play in high school. Who do you think will be the breakout player on the team this season on the defensive line?
Most definitely me. I'm most definitely gonna be the breakout player for sure.
Man, that's what I like to hear. And who do you think? Now, you might want to save your name for this question, because who do you think is going to be the MVP of the D-line?
Come on, man. You know it's going to be me. No disrespect to my brothers, but it's going to be Big Baby, though. It's going to be Pops.
Man, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. Those are the questions that we have for you, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree. I'd agree that I think breakout player and MVP are definitely, and honestly, most excited to see. Everything I've heard, it was going to be a three-way sweep for me. If Tyler was asking me, it was going to be Nonte, Nonte, Nonte. Most excited to see you because I've heard great things about you, and I saw you're a big man today when I met you. So I feel sorry for offensive linemen lining up across from you because I feel like you're going to be pushing some guys around and causing havoc. Breakout player, again, first year here. I think you're going to be that guy. MVP, your Pops, Big Baby. You are the senior leader in this group of defensive linemen, tackles and defensive ends. You're one of the few upperclassmen and seniors that we have. So, I think it's only right that you be the mentor and be the MVP. I have a lot of high expectations from you. I know you have high expectations of yourself. But that's all we got for you, Nante. If you have any final words before you want to get out, and we'll let you go on about your night. It is getting late as we're recording, but again, we do appreciate you coming on, taking your time to join us. You are our first guest, so nobody can ever take that title away from you. I hope we have many more of your teammates. Some of them I talked to today expressed interest in coming on, but the first one was Nonte Davis. So we do appreciate you. It was a pleasure meeting you today. I really enjoyed the time we got to sit and talk, and me get to learn more about you with the questions I was asking, and then even more today about your football career up to this point. And obviously there's still a chapter yet to be written for your college career. And then obviously beyond that, with your NFL potential, we're just really excited to have you. We're glad you came on the show. Tyler, do you have anything to add before we let Nonte have some final words to the listeners and let him get on and get out of here?
Yeah, just to kind of echo what you were saying, thank you so much for coming on here and doing this podcast with us. It means a lot. And for me, learning about the adversity that you had to overcome with your shoulder injury, and your kind of redemption story from that, thank gosh you didn't go to MTSU. You were going to commit, they pulled it. I'd chalk that up as a good thing. But man, it's awesome hearing that you're your first one from your family to go to college. I mean, that's awesome, dude. And to get a free ride, I mean, heck, you can't beat that, bull. But nah, I mean, just hearing what you had to say about the D line, it's getting me excited for, man. I'm pumped to watch y'all cause havoc in that backfield and to just jam up that run, man.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, man, our D line, man, I'm telling you, it's gonna shock a lot of people. Everybody's listening, man. I'm telling you, WKD lineman is not to play with at all. Every last one of us. And I want to appreciate y'all for letting me get on here. I didn't know I was the first person to have been on here. That's crazy. Hey, hopefully I'll be able to come back, man. It's a blessing to be here. Blessing to talk with y'all guys, man. And just, I'm glad I'm here at WKU, man. Go Tops. It's gonna be forever Go Tops, man. And I can't wait to September the 2nd to show y'all guys what me and the D linemen and all the coaches been waiting for y'all to see, man. It's gonna be a movie the whole season. Y'all gotta get y'all popcorn ready, man.
Oh man, we love it, Nante. We appreciate you coming on again, and you will be welcome back anytime you'd like to come. This episode will be publishing tomorrow. Share it around all your teammates. Let QB1 know, hey, it could have been him first guess, but he didn't make it. So it's you, man. We appreciate you coming on. Have a good night, and we'll definitely be in touch, man. The invite will be open anytime you'd like to come back and talk Hilltopper football, man, because that's what we love to do. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're about, man. So again, appreciate you, man. Have a good night, and like you said, go Tops.
Yes, sir. Go Tops, man. I could have talked to y'all all night long, but man, I know I had to shorten it a little bit because I could get, I can get going after a while. So, man, like I said, I thank y'all for letting me be on here, man. And y'all have a blessed night, man. And go Tops.
Yes, sir. You too. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Tyler, man, that was awesome.
That really was.
That was awesome. That was awesome, man. That's a good way to kick off, our first ever guest, man, because I told him, I was like, hey man, I think it's gonna be 15-20 minutes. Like, I kind of wrote out my notes, what I wanted to talk about, and what I thought we would run was about 15-20 minutes. Man, that man talked for 50 minutes just now. So and I'm not mad at him. It's a good episode. It's good talk. I am going to circle back and ask you the other questions that we asked for every unit. I didn't want to ask these of Nante, but I'll ask them of you. So we've learned a lot about the defensive line, defensive end, tackles. What do you think is the strength of the overall defensive line unit? Or the strengths, if you have more than one, what's the strengths of the unit?
Well, I think these strengths, I got two. I think they're going to play in together. One is going to be the coaching experience of Hall. He's coming from Georgia as the assistant D-line coach for 2 years whenever they won their back-to-back national championship. So I believe you mix that with the experience and the hunger that Nante was talking about of the players. And players like Evans, Nonte Davis, and Jaden Lovin, I feel like that's going to work in our favor as a strength.
I think even though there's a lot of youth on this roster and in this position group, I think we have a lot of really big and really talented players and individuals. And like Nante highlighted, a lot of hungry guys that have been waiting behind several guys who were just major impact players here. But now, those are shoes we have to fill. So, again, I think we have plenty of talent. I think that's a strength of this unit is that there is talent there. It may be unknown in a WKU uniform. It may be unknown in a full-time, a lot of reps and snaps position, plenty of talent there. So I guess on the flip side of that coin, what would you say is a weakness of the defensive line unit, or weaknesses if you have more than one?
Well, if when you look, you're talking about the players that had to play behind the 5 that we lost. We lost 5 of our top 8 players from the line. And, losing that much experience always hurts, with the names that we mentioned earlier. But I believe we're going to turn that weakness into a strength because, like you said, these players had to sit there and learn from them and go against them. So that's only going to turn that into our benefit. What about you, man?
Yeah, I think our weakness is just the youth movement. It's just the unknown. I think that's why Phil still ranks us as a number 5 defensive line unit. I think that's why we're not considered a top 50 defensive line unit in college football. I think just because it's unknown. There's so many redshirt freshmen and sophomores and only a couple guys returning and a couple seniors that I'm not mad at a ranking on paper saying that we're, the 5th defensive line. I think it's an unknown. If it's a weakness, it is what it is. But I think, like I tweeted, we're going to shock a lot of people. That's for sure. And the last question I have for you is, what's a bold prediction for this defensive line unit?
Well, I was looking at the now this bold prediction, it can be for a player or for the whole line, right? Okay. So with this one, I was looking at the single season sack record, and it is 13 sacks on the season. Now, last year, Donut Evans had 9, and he tied with D'Angelo Malone as a single. He's not number 1, but he's tied with D'Angelo Malone. I believe this year, Jacquez Evans will be an absolute menace for the ops, and he will make QB's lives a living nightmare. So I think we'll go for 13.5 sacks and 11 QB hurries. That's my bold prediction.
I like that. That's bold. Mine's a little bit more generality in speaking terms. I think in terms of total team sacks, I think there's not really a lot of ways that you can measure who's the best defensive line at the end of the year, if we're 5th or if we're 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. But I think we're going to be in the upper, top 3, call it, team sacks in the conference. I think we're going to be a top 3. And honestly, I think top 1 or 2, and probably not 2. But I think we're definitely going to be in the top 1, 2, or 3 in total team sacks, just quarterback pressure causing havoc and chaos back there. So that is my bold prediction, man. I think, I think the sky's the limit for these guys. Like Nante said, it's a hungry group. It's a talented group, a young group. And I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff on the field. So that wraps up our D-line talk. We are going to transition into the linebacker side of things, kind of that second level on the defensive side, now that we've talked about the defensive tackles and defensive ends. Just getting into the linebackers. They are coached by outside linebacker coach Jamar Chaney and inside linebacker coach Davis Merritt. And Phil still has this unit ranked 6th in Conference USA. And it's kind of the same old story, that we just talked about with the defensive line. We lost a lot of production, a lot of guys that had been here several years. And we did lose Will Ignont. His eligibility was exhausted. Jaden Hunter, eligibility was exhausted. And Derek Smith, his eligibility was exhausted. We lost nobody to the portal. We did add someone from the portal. We added Devon Lynch, a 6'1", 220-pound junior from the portal. And then we signed 2 high schoolers that will be obviously new to the roster. That's Reginald Allen, a 6'3", 215-pound freshman, and Karan Hayward, a 6'5", 235-pound freshman. So a couple big guys there, although young. So I guess what's your initial thoughts on the Field Steel ranking, having us number 6, and kind of some of these guys we've lost? What's your initial thoughts on the linebacking group before we jump into who is still here, who's projected to start, and the depth? What's your initial gut feeling on the linebackers with just what we've lost so far?
Well, we did lose our number 5 tackler, number 9 tackler, and our number 2 tackler in Ignat, Hunter, and Smith. That does hurt losing them guys and losing that experience. But hey, we're bringing back some players that we're going to be talking about. And I mean, I think 6 is is kind of disrespectful, but it is still bringing in some unknown players that will have to prove themselves. And I feel like they're going to do it, but this is one of the positions that you really had to prove yourself in.
Yeah, I agree. Going to jump right in and talk about some projected starters. Again, this is taken straight from the Field Steel College Preview Bible. Again, none of these are in stone. These are just projected right now. Obviously, there's still position battles going. There's still fall camp that has to be played. Hopefully, no injuries. Hopefully, we'll stay healthy. So the starters listed right now are Anthony Brackenridge, a 6'3", 215-pound sophomore. And then Aaron Key, a 6'1", 230-pound sophomore. And then we also have nickelback Kendrick Simpkins, a 6 foot, 195-pound sophomore. So again, sophomore, they're starting. Then we're also going to talk about some other people that are on the roster. Not starters, but the guys battling for starting positions. And then obviously that number 2, because you need to have healthy and depth bodies that you can rotate in, as needed if there's long drives. So we also have Rashawn Hodge, a 6'2", 220-pound junior. We have Trent Zappi, a 6 foot, 220-pound redshirt freshman. Yes, that is Bailey Zappi's younger brother. He is a linebacker. He was here last year, redshirted, and is still on the sidelines, hoping to see the field and get some playing time like brother obviously did, but other side of the ball. Then we've got AJ Yasili, a 6 foot, 220-pound redshirt freshman. Nathan Griffin, a 6'1", 230-pound junior. Desmond Baker, a 6'2", 230-pound junior. Bryson Washington, a 6 foot, 235-pound senior. Virgil Marshall, a 6 foot, 200-pound sophomore. Ellie George, 5'11", 200-pound junior. Eli Jones, a 6'1", 230-pound redshirt freshman. RJ Evans, a 6'1", 230-pound redshirt junior. And Lonnie Rice, a 6'2", 236 redshirt or 236-pound redshirt sophomore. So again, I think circling back to the beginning of the discussion, being that Field Steel rated us to number 6 linebacking unit in Conference USA. Looking at senior that we lost. 3 of our leading tacklers from last year, and all those guys were P5 transfers in. Those were big, talented guys that came in and were very impactful for multiple years. And now we're looking at starters being sophomore. Then even as we read down some of those other guys battling for starting minutes or more snaps in the depth and rotation, one senior on there, a couple of juniors, and then sophomore, redshirt sophomore, freshman, redshirt freshman. I mean, it's a really young group, kind of just like that defensive line group was. So again, at the end of the day, I'm not mad about a preseason ranking, a Field Steel ranking. I think there's plenty of talent there. I think we have good coaches in Jamar Chaney and Davis Merritt that are going to coach these guys up. I know several of these guys are versatile enough that we can move them around, maybe to DE. We saw Donut, not only on the end, but, drop back and be, in a linebacking position last year. I have no doubt that some of these guys will be versatile and just moving all around the field. And, that rotation of players, fresh bodies, causing chaos and havoc is only going to benefit us for years to come with this youth movement that we have. I still think we're going to be really good this year. I think we're going to exceed the expectation and rankings of, being in the bottom half of this conference. I don't think our talent is the number 6 talent in Conference USA in linebackers. No disrespect to any other teams not knowing their roster makeups at all and what they have coming back, etc. I just know I like my guys and I'm going to ride with my guys. So I guess, Tyler, what's your feel on, the whole linebacking group as a whole, just the roster, what you see, what you like, before we jump into those questions for the position?
Well, I do like this Desmond Baker. I feel like, I like all these players. If they come in and they're hungry and they want to just rip somebody's head off and sling it across the field, I'm all for it. I feel like they will shock a lot of people. I feel like they're going to be real ball hunters. And, the people impress me, their size, the weight. Nathan Griffin, 6'1", 230. Desmond Baker, like I said, was 6'2", 230. Bryson Washington, 6 foot, 235. I want them to go in there and just lay the wood. Take someone out of the game if you got to. Not all season, but out of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I'm excited. Just honestly, Nante's got me all fired up with defensive line, and then talking about these linebackers, man. 44 days. I think that's what my countdown's to. Tomorrow will be we're not to midnight yet, so 44 days still. But we're going to jump into those questions that we're going to ask of every unit. What do you have as the strengths, if you have more than one, of the linebacking unit as a whole?
Well, my strength is we're bringing back some talent from last year, like Simpkins and Aaron Key, who was on the 2022 Conference USA All-Freshman team. And, you got new transfers like Hodge, Rashawn Hodge, who in 3 seasons at Iowa Western Community College, he made 132 tackles in 31 games. That shows me that he wants to go and hit somebody. He's not going to wait for the contact. He's going to initiate it and drive them into the ground. So that's my strength.
Yeah, and my strength is that with this quality of depth that we have, just a lot of bodies, a lot of people fighting for playing time and snaps. I think when you have that many hungry players who, quite frankly, they all want to be on the field. None of them want to be the second string or never see game time or just special teams, etc. I think a high tide raises all boats. The cream of the crop is gonna rise to the top when you have this much competition from this many players, this many young players that are hungry to replace some of those guys that were high producing players for a number of years for us. I think a strength of this unit is that whatever we put on the field, it's going to be the best of what we have. And I think that's not a bad thing. Young, inexperienced, unknown, indifferent. I think whoever wins those battles and is on the field and deserves those snaps, I think is going to be hungry and is going to be out there with something to prove, and a chip on their shoulder to say, hey, I earned this spot. It wasn't just given to me. I earned it. Flip side of that coin, what do you have as a weakness or weaknesses for the linebacking group?
Well, it's kind of like on the defensive line. We did lose our 2nd, 5th, and number 9 tackler. And, that does hurt, even though these younger players, they learned from these guys that left. I view that as our one weakness is we did lose a lot of experience due to graduation.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my weakness too, is the lack of experience. It is a young position group, and sometimes those linebackers, if that inexperience happens on the field, sometimes that's somebody being out of position or taking a bad angle or just having the wrong assignment on whatever the defensive play scheme is for that particular call. And sometimes a mistake, can be the difference between getting off the field on third down or giving up a big chunk play that continues a drive. So would be my only worry, is that when you have younger players, more mistakes are going to happen. I'm okay with mistakes happening. So sometimes you have to learn in the fire. That's what some of these young players are going to be doing. First time getting major playing time and snaps and minutes. So I'm okay with it. It's a weakness, but I'm not concerned about it. I know these guys are going to, iron sharpens iron. Competition is going to be healthy for everybody, and we're going to be fine. So, of the losses, who would you say is the hardest to replace in the linebacking group?
I'm going to go with Derek Smith on that one. Our number 2 tackler. I feel like that he is the hardest one to replace.
I'm going to go with a different guy. I'm going with Will Ignont. I was a big Will Ignont fan. That the minute I saw him on campus last year, the year before at the spring game, that man, I mean, he's huge. He's big, a big chiseled boy. You saw number 23 when you look down there on the field. He was a big guy, always swarming to the ball. Always had a nose for finding the ball and making plays, and just always being known. He's on the field. So he's my hardest to replace. Tyler, who are you most excited to see of this young linebacking core?
Well, it's going to be Aaron Key. I'm ready to see him continue what he did his freshman year and roll it over into his sophomore season. That's my most excited to see player.
I'm going to go with someone I met today and someone I hope listens. We talked about the podcast for a minute. I'm going to go with Kendrick Simpkins. Seemed like a real hungry and just good player. Obviously has good athletic size and build to him, as I met him today and got to talk to him. So I'm most excited to see him on the field. It's always nice having guys back, especially in a really young room. So, and we've only got a couple of guys that are back. So, having somebody that has been here and done that and learned behind some other guys, I'm most excited to kind of see him and stepping up to a more prominent role with the linebackers in his position. So, who do you think is going to be your breakout player for the linebacker group?
My breakout player, he appeared in 2 games last season, mainly in special team role, and that's going to be Kylan Goodry. I feel like this is his season to just tear it open, make his name known, and I think this is his year, man.
There's a lot to choose from for breakout player. It's also young and redshirt guys, and I think we're going to see a lot of bodies out there. I'm going to go with another guy I saw today, Lonnie Rice. I think redshirt sophomore, so a little bit more experience and college ready. Been on campus longer and hopefully ready to play and ready to have his moment and shine. I think if he gets a chance to see the field, stays healthy, and gets that opportunity, I think he's going to make an impact and show that he deserves to be on that field. Who you taking for your MVP of the linebacking group?
The MVP is going to be Kendrick Simpkins. That's going to be my MVP. I feel like the dude's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with someone you've mentioned already. I'm going to go with Aaron Key, kind of building on his all CUSA freshman team nod. I think his gradual progression of just improving and Now, obviously, getting more playing time, more reps, more snaps. I think that's going to kind of prove to be what propels him to be that next great linebacker that's just making plays, finding the ball, getting us off the field, causing turnovers, whatever it may be. I have high expectations for him, and he kind of proved that last year that he's capable of it and was recognized for it on the All CSA team. So I think he's going to be my MVP. Last question. What is your bold prediction for the linebackers?
So I'm going with a one-player bold prediction here. Now I know my next one. I'm going to try to spread it out amongst the guys, but this one, in his first year, in the first year he played, he got 21 tackles. In his second year, he got 42, and I think this year Kendrick Simpkins is getting at least 91 tackles. I'm calling it tonight, 7/21. 2023.
It's after midnight now. It's a new day. It's Friday, and apparently it's Kendrick Simpkins Day. But oddly enough, in his nickelback position that they have him listed in, he's with the linebackers on the field still breakdown, but he listed as a nickelback. So we are talking about him with the linebackers instead of secondary. But that position, it's almost like a hybrid type role. Somebody who can drop back into coverage, or kind of reminds me of like a Devin Key type player who played really downhill, down close to the line of scrimmage all the time, and was quite frankly one of our leading tacklers year in and year out, and ended his career, if I'm not mistaken, as our all-time leading tackler in the FBS era. And that's kind of what Kendrick reminds me of, is somebody that can be that guy, have a nose for the ball, and just be there making plays. So I'm not pegging a number, but I like 91. I like 91 tackles, but I think he will be near the top or lead of our total tacklers on defense. I think he can be that guy, kind of in that Devin Key mode of just causing havoc and finding the ball. So that's my bold prediction. I think, man, good talk, man. Long episode, our longest episode, but our first guest, great conversation. Obviously we hope to have many more guests, kind of did a little buttering up today, and hopefully, we got a few other guys that might be interested in coming on. And if they're listening to this, hey, the invites are open, just like it is to Nonte to ever come back. There's several other guys that I know are going to listen, and if they want to come on and talk and give insight that we can't provide, we're just providing insight from what we saw last year, what we saw at the spring game, and what Phil Steele is projecting for this next year. And we're doing our best in that role. But, we would love for more players to come on and join us and give us that insight that, only they can provide. They see these teammates and players at the hardest of days and at the best of days, on the field, film study, weight room, after hours, conditioning and meals, whatever. They see them more than we're ever going to see them, know them better than we're ever going to know them. And we love that insight. Tonight with Nonte, I mean, that was incredible talk. Like he said, he could have talked all night. We probably could have talked to him all night, but, I'm sure he's got stuff he wants to do or needs to do tomorrow morning. And, we had to let him get out of here eventually. My 15 to 20 minute talk turned into almost an hour. So we do appreciate him coming on. We look forward to having him on again sometime in the future, and as well as any guest, player from whomever would like to join us in the future. We'll definitely have more, and definitely look forward to that. So Tyler, man, give us some of your final words, and, if nothing else, take us the heck out of here.
Oh man, talking to him tonight, it really did get me fired up for the D line and the linebackers. I mean, it was awesome to hear his story. Like I said earlier, it was awesome to hear the journey he went on. Because that's some stories that I feel like the fans don't ever get to hear, and I'm glad that we can share, that he shared it with us, and we can share it to the rest of Hilltopper Nation. But doing this podcast has made me, I feel like, a better fan. As we hope to be the best WKU podcast for Hilltopper Nation. We're doing the legwork, so you don't have to. We're just like Amazon. We're delivering it right to your doorstep. So thank y'all for listening to us. To ramble on and not making too much fun of us. But no, I feel like this season, youth movement in both camps. I feel like they're going to shock the world, though. And I am here for it. I'm here for it all season. I meant to ask Nonte. He said he likes the big games. I was going to ask him what game he was looking for this season, and I'm sure one of them would probably be Ohio State, but I'm not going to put any words in his mouth. I wish you would have. I wish you would have got to. I wish if he ever wants to answer that question, I'm here all season, man. I'm here all season.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you that I talked to about 20 of the players today, and almost every single one of them, there was a lot of USF first game. Yeah, we're ready. We're circling that game. Almost all of them said Ohio State week 3. So hey, and we're coming to upset them. So I can tell you that. I don't know his answer. I don't recall it, individually, but I guarantee Ohio State is one of them. And I wanted to add on to, what you said about us doing the legwork and helping you become a better fan. Every year that I've done this exercise and break down the roster and get to know every name, face, number, who they are, as it translates as to I'm watching the game. I see them. I know. I don't just see the last name and go, Key, who is that? I go, oh, that's Aaron Key. I know who that is. So yeah, it definitely will help us grow as fans and anyone listening grow as fans. And then I wanted to touch base also, before you take us out, that the listeners, the people that have been, just following along with this, we've heard just amazing feedback. And recently it has started coming from, the football coaching staff. Today it came from the football players, several players saying, hey, we listen. Hey, we follow along. Hey, we appreciate what you're doing. And I'm just saying for me and for us that, we love talking Hilltopper football. We love talking Hilltopper sports, and it means that much more when we get that positive feedback, especially from staff and players that are saying, man, we love what you're doing. Keep doing it. We need more people, fans, podcasts, stuff, shining positive light on these programs, these players, these student athletes, because it's fun for us. But they're the ones putting in the hard work, and that we love to show up on game days and support. So we appreciate everyone following along, listening, subscribing. The feedback has been tremendous, and we can't wait to see where it continues to go in the future as we continue the breakdown series, get into the schedule predictions and then game recaps, previews, etc. as the seasons get started, and then other sports get started in the fall. So man, it's been fun, and we're still going up on the roller coaster. We haven't even hit the apex. We're not even near the apex before we start flying down, just screaming our heads off, man. We're having fun, and we're glad that everybody listening is on that ride with us. So, man, we appreciate everyone. Thank you for listening. And Tyler, man, get us out of here.
Hey, boy, who has it better than us?
Nobody.
Go Tops.
Go Tops, man. Later, guys.
See ya.